Intimidator! When it comes to bucket lists, you don't get any bigger than this. Well, maybe tomorrow, as I'm going to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg for the first time tomorrow, but for the first time ever, I'm at Kingsdominion. And as you can probably tell, I'm very excited as a new potential #1 coaster is located inside these gates, or as per has been recommended to me by a fellow enthusiast that's very popular. I'm not going to name drop, but yeah, here we go. Kingsdominion for the first time. It's going to be a jam-packed day. I'm going to try to get a couple of rides in before I mainly vlog, so I might be joining you after I get my first ride on Intimidator and other rides in the park, obviously. I'm already out of breath as I'm just super pumped. It's not that busy here today. In fact, it's not busy at all. It's also great to see another one of these former Paramount and King's Entertainment parks for the first time that I've never experienced before. Okay, here we are, Kingsdominion. Can't wait to get inside. In fact, we just got inside and we're not going to mess around. We're going to go to the main attraction before discovering the park. I'm already tripping over the stones. Very familiar entrance plaza, a little bit more condensed than, say, the one at Wonderland, but very beautiful, very picturesque. Where I'm from, there's no leaves on the trees, so we've got a big temperature change that I have to get used to over the next 24 to 48 hours while here in Virginia. We're just following the lead here because I think everybody is going to the same place. Dominator is just over here. I think I'm gonna change it up here though. Park hours today are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as you can see, at least for this early part of the day, there's basically no one here. So I would suggest if you do get here in the early part of the season, today it is almost the last day of April. It's the 29th of April. The iconic tower. The second one that I've seen now. Planet Snoopy is not open, so I can't get access. Turns out these people knew what they were doing. Yeah, I gotta go back around now in order to get to Intimidator. Controversial times. Let's try a little bit of a different route. We're gonna go this way. Well, we've got a bit of a dead end here because Can't really get to Intimidator from that side. I'm not too worried. The park is not busy at all, at least at the start here. So I'll probably get 1 or 2 rides in, maybe 3, before getting into the, say, lesser attractions of the park, because Planet Snoopy is closed and therefore no access that way. My lack of study of really taking in how the park is laid out beforehand, I do like to explore parks organically. Kind of take it all in first and get a feel of the land. There's the old action theater. This is also the home park of one of the most famous vloggers or theme park enthusiasts going today. So who knows? We might have a sighting. I usually have pretty good luck running into enthusiasts on my travels in the States. So here's hoping we have a run-in today. Shenandoah Lovebird Co. is not operational. I'm hoping that might change today, because I definitely would like to get on that flume. You never know, it's an older one and it might have its days numbered, as per my home park's Zumba flume ride. We encounter yet another dead end. We're not really sure how to get to the other side of the park. There has been a bunch of school groups that have showed up for today, so I'm hoping to beat that crowd and get on that Intimidator before it's too late. But it seems to be the one access point. It's a little early tip for you. Head over to Dominator to actually get to some rides. We got Berserker ahead of us here, inverting pirate ship, starship. As per usual, I'm light on sleep. Dominator's going, there's people actually on it, so that's a good sign, but I'm gonna come back to it. It does have 2 trains running today, so I don't think there'll be much of an issue getting on that. I will be going on that inverted starship, Skyflyer. Can't even really say what it is. Most of the park seems to be blocked off right now. Clearly that will definitely change through the day. But yeah, maybe we're going on Dominator first. We shall see. But as I was saying, I'm light on sleep as usual. So if I trip over my words and misname things, I apologize in advance. Really just kind of excited to get on something right now. It's gonna be Dominator. Dominator for the first time. I'm well impressed, actually. That might be one of my favorite floorless rides of all time. Running very smooth, very little trim actually in the mid-course as well, so you get a lot of pop of airtime through the last section of the ride. Also, that loop is sensational. It takes it at just the right speed to get a lot of hang time right in the middle of the actual loop itself. So, very impressed. So much so, I'm going to go for another ride. Had a backseat ride for my first ride of the 2022 season overall. I'm going to go do a front seat ride, and then hopefully this park will open up a bit, because it's basically just this section of the park that's open right now. All right, second ride on Dominator. second ride on Dominator done. Front row ride. A little more rough than the back seat I found, but still a fantastic ride. Surprising it's so fast. It's pretty high, or it's got quite the height to it. But yeah, it's only got 5 inversions, which is pretty reserved for a floorless coaster, which usually they have 6 or 7 inversions. So yeah, it really goes through its motions, and you're done with it. Okay, already starting to get tongue-tied here, but yeah, great ride. Really, the reason why that's happening is because the other part of the park has finally opened, so we're now hightailing it to get over to the other side to get some other rides in, because there are a lot of school groups that have arrived that I can see from the top of Dominator a second ago, and they're all rushing to get in here, so now we're rushing to get to the other side of the park and get on some other rides. Do I ride Woodstock Express right now? Maybe it's a little bit risky, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna go on Woodstock Express, and then we'll get over to Intimidator, which I haven't even seen running yet, so hopefully that'll change soon enough. Because yeah, it's definitely a ride I want to get on today, obviously. It's pretty much the only ride if I had a choice, that I want to get on to. All right, enough of me. Enjoy some footage of some coasters. Woodstock Express done. Got to get my initial impressions. I'll probably get more footage later on because I'm so paranoid about getting on all the rides in a good amount of time. I'm already getting a bit of a headache, so yeah, that's already developed. Great, smooth kids wood coaster. Just as old, if not a little bit younger than Ghost to Coaster at Wonderland. Actually, I think this ride's a bit older by like 2 years. Key impression, however, unlike Ghost to Coaster back in Wonderland, this ride has not been butchered like that one has. So it actually still has that final airtime hill before returning into the station, which I definitely enjoyed. Overall, I think it was a great little coaster. Yeah, great time. Yeah. I'm saying yeah for the first time this 2022 season. I don't know where I'm going, but I think I'm probably better off following the crowd instead of going deeper into Planet Snoopy here. We're trying to get to Intimidator still before the big crowds arrive. I doubt there's going to be any big crowds today. I might even try that little jobby, as I've not been on one before. Back at Fun Spot in Orlando, they have a similar sort of ride, but I think that Linus's Launcher, as it's called, will allow for an adult ride. I said at the beginning of the season that I wasn't really going to be doing much of the solo adult enthusiast riding kids rides, but unlike my home park, which I moan about a lot, I already feel way more comfortable here being a solo enthusiast than, say, at other parks like the one back at home, because there are other solo enthusiasts here just checking out the park and enjoying it for what it is. So whew, my hair is already starting to get a little out of whack because yeah, we've got some good rides in. So all right, let's see where we are. Jungle Expedition and the new for 2022 attraction, Tumbili, or Tumbili, I don't know what it's called. It's an SNS 4D spin. I've been on many of these now, So I don't know what my impressions of this one will be other than probably like the other ones. Regardless, we might give it a go now. Because as that ever so tantalizing ride just over here, you can't quite see it through the trees, is waiting for me. It still doesn't seem to be operating, which is somewhat worrisome. So let's get on the new ride and get it out of the way. Well, not out of the way, but I anticipate it'll have a bit of a wait later on if this park does get busier. It's a walk on it in the moment. So Tumbili, we're going on our Tumbili ride for the day. Maybe one of more than one. Okay, I'm rambling a bit. Tumbili is done. First impressions. Only I think 2 inversions overall. Pretty intense regardless. It really slows you down in that final drop before entering the station, which is understandable. I just don't know how to compare these to the other versions of the S&S 4D spins because they all seem very similar. I think Arashi is still my favorite, maybe just because of the name. I love that name and just the styling of that ride. Although this one is actually well themed. Don't really want to think about what used to be here because this is the area, I believe, where Volcano the Blast Coaster used to exist in addition to the Huss free spin. Pardon if I'm not getting the terminology right, as I don't really want to focus on Googling the information right now. I want to get on the rides. But that being said, we got another coaster to do right behind me with basically no wait, which is Reptilian. So I'm going to go straight onto it and give you my impressions of another anticipated coaster here, which is a Huss bobsled ride. Definitely looking forward to it. So, yeah, I haven't even finished the first hour of my visit here at Kingsdominion today, and already got 4 credits, including 2 rides on Dominator, and I can go back on to Tumbili because, yeah, there's no wait for the opposite side of the ride, as the queue is a little bit confusing, I guess. It doesn't really clearly indicate that there's 2 different sides that you can load. For those of us that have been on it, well know that. Anyhow, time to get on Reptilian.
Step into the car directly in front of you. Back rider in first and pull down on your restraint. For your safety, please remain seated facing forward with your hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the ride vehicle at all times.
Just got off of Reptilian here. Impressions about this park, I really like it so far. In fact, I'm well impressed. Considering that it used to be a Paramount park and it's a Cedar Fair park and it's very similar to, say, the park that is my home park, Wonderland. The detailing and just the theming here reminds me of how that park used to be back in the day. It just has like a little bit more of a focus on, yeah, just having an immersive aspect to the theming here. versus what you get at my home park, which has been really kind of turned into a very commercialized Six Flags-ish type of experience. For example, the station for Reptilian here, even the shed has some nice detailing and theming in the brake run leading into the station that you just don't get at Wonderland anymore. Even the color scheme and everything that you experience, especially this part or section of the park, it just feels well put together and maintained, which I sadly cannot say about Wonderland. How things change over the years. A really sad aspect, however, of being at this section is that you do get to see where formerly Volcano was, as this whole the rock work and the theming in this area obviously was attached to the original mountain that I wish I had gotten to see at one point, but sadly is not here anymore and is much lamented by the enthusiast community. We've talked about it at length, I'm sure, over the years. But again, yeah, Reptilian was a good ride. I definitely enjoyed it. All things considered, it was a little bit shaky, I'd say. Definitely ran as smooth as I'd expect one of these bobsleds to run. I haven't been on one since I was at Blackpool a long time ago, which I don't even want to mention. It's almost been more than 20 years since I've been on one of these rides. But well impressed. That's it. The schools have arrived. I believe this station behind me was the former queue line for Volcano. It wouldn't really make sense, actually, would it now, this research center, because I believe that the station was actually inside the mountain. So, comment below, those of you wiser than myself that know the truth of the matter about what this actually used to be. It looks like we're going to get on the Outer Limits next, or formerly known as Flight of Fear. Flight of Fear? Alright, enough of me trying to make up names for rides. Enjoy the atmosphere here as we go through the park. I am hoping for some staggered ride opening times because there is a couple of worrying omissions currently as far as operations are concerned of two rides. Two big ones for me here in this park, which are Anaconda, which is just behind me here. At least the main lift hill is. It's definitely not running yet. And Intimidator has not been running at all today. So once we get over there, I'm sure we'll find out some information about that. But it's not looking good at the moment. In fact, we're just about to get to the queue line of it just beyond here. So we'll get some information quickly. But here we go. Flight of Fear. I'm not even sure if it's open. It's so slow around here that, yeah, there's really no information available. There is a attendant at the front of Intimidator, so we'll find out soon enough what the situation is. Okay, we're here at Intimidator. So the ride is temporarily delayed, but a test run just went through, so it does look good that it'll finally be up and running at some point. I'm gonna hang around for a bit because with that test run just going through and people actually waiting in the queue, I don't know if they're like test dummies. I don't know if they're, considering the state of my hair, I could consider myself a good test subject for this ride at this point. But I think it's going to open in a couple of minutes, so I'm definitely going to try to get that early morning ride before it warms up later on. Excited. Definitely looked like it was running a bit slow there on the first run there that I just caught. And yeah, Intimidator. Maybe in a couple seconds I'll have joined you post-ride. First thing that I have to mention is that they allow you 2 rides in a row on Intimidator 305, and for good reason. How is that thing even legal? I don't even know. Like, that was ridiculous. I don't even know what to think of the original version of that ride with the airtime hill after the initial drop that was changed. Because I grayed out every single time, especially the third trip around. I did it 4 times in a row, 2 front rows and 2 back seat rides. Really no problem getting on either because the park is not that busy. I'm still just recovering. I can't really go on it again. I might do one more ride just before I go to another section of the park because yeah, you really need to take your time and pace yourself with this ride because it's really that intense. The second half, or just the minor portion right after that airtime hill, or sorry, the mid-course brake run, pardon my discombobulated brain, but it is Intimidator after all. Yeah, it really is underwhelming compared to the first part of the ride because, yeah, spectacular first drop, and that first turn, like, what other than to say, like, that's probably the most intense section of a roller coaster that I've ever experienced. I grayed out, like I said, every single time. And yeah, the best part beyond that, other than just that ridiculous amount of speed that you take the entire course through, for the most part, are those quick whip over turns and the second airtime hill after you take that first gigantic one right behind me there. Well, really the second airtime hill is the mid-course brake run, but yeah, I can't believe how crazy it was. It really did live up to expectation. Is it a top 3 coaster? I'm not so sure. A top 5, it's definitely going to make it into that list for sure. Because I do like very intense rides, and I can't think of anything more intense than what I just experienced there. Intimidator lives up to expectation. way better than the other Intimidator in Carowinds, which I think is one of the most disappointing coasters I've ever been on. That is unbelievable. All right, I'm gonna, where am I gonna go now? I don't even know, because I do have a locker for a bit. I will say that you are required to use lockers for this ride for obvious reasons. But yeah, I've got a locker rental for about 3 hours for $5 American, which is pretty decent. Besides that, I think I'm going to see what else is going on in the park, because it's, yeah, it pretty much is going to be an easy day to get on to, say, the premier attraction here. I'm lost for words for obvious reasons. Quite an incredible experience getting on this ride for the first time. I'll probably do it about 10 times today, given how light it is in traffic and human traffic. And also, I really do fear how more intense this ride might be after a warm-up later in the day. Because, yeah, it's pretty intense. All right, moving on to other parts of Kingdominion. Kingdominion, I can't even say it. Kingsdominion. Let's carry on. It's a little busier here. The Dodgeum's right behind me. It's got quite the crowd inside. We're going to the other side of the park now. I actually got a quick ride on, oh my god, I can never remember the name of the Italian Jobs stunt coaster. Forgive me everyone, it's brutal. I also met an enthusiast named Chris on that ride that we shared a ride together on, and he is doing both Busch Gardens Williamsburg and this park in the same day, trying to get all the coasters in at both parks. He is from Williamsburg, and he hasn't gotten many of the credits at this park, which is kind of unusual. He's actually headed out right now, and it's only just past 11 o'clock, so in 2 hours he was able to get pretty much everything in here. So that's kind of impressive. Yeah, my original plan, the rides, or the parks here have a very weird sort of posting of hours, because I'm here today because I thought Busch Gardens Williamsburg was going to be open at 3 to 9, but he just told me that they're actually open right now, so it's kind of a little bit wonky, because had I planned, as per my original plans, to come here tomorrow, I could have gone there today and probably got more rides in there. I don't know, it's very confusing. Either way, I'm going to be doing both parks. I don't think I'll be going to that park today because I only have a ticket for that park today, or for one day. Needless to say, I'm all over the place. I'm sure the vlog will get a little bit more smoother later on. I need to find a washroom before I get over to this other side of the park where the main woodies of the park are located. Grizzly is open. Looks like the racer is not, as Chris, the guy that I just met, said that it was not open. It doesn't look like it's going to be open today. The guy back there at the Wiffle Baskets was very funny, as he was saying, rooting, recording since 2021. So if you saw him in the background of the shot there, or if he's watching, hello. Yeah, so Anaconda is not open either, which is very disappointing. Very, very, very disappointing. I feel like already from my impressions of this park that I will be back very soon. It's kind of ridiculous that I've waited 30 odd years to come here, and there's some credits that look like I'll still need to notch off on another visit if they still exist. I believe Racer is going to get refurbished soon, like the Racer at Kings Island, so there's no real danger of it disappearing, but I'm very worried about Anaconda's future, so I'm hoping that at some point in the future I do get to ride it. Alright, that's a little bit of a recap over the last couple minutes of what I've been up to. Eventually I'm going to remember the name of Stunt Coaster, or its proper name, which is beyond me still, but I will get it eventually. But until then, join me a little bit later from now. Just like that, we got some good news as Racer 75 is just open, so I'm not going to waste any time and get right on it before that may change. Got to get that credit in. May not get both sides in today, but happy to get on this classic Woody regardless. Racer 75. Okay, Racer is done. Wow, I was on a wheel seat in the back and it was remarkably smooth, all things considered. In fact, I found that very smooth for a ride that's older than even myself. So, very impressed. And a pretty unexpected long ride, because the lift hill doesn't seem that large. And then when you get to it, like the actual meat and potatoes of the ride, it is a really good out and back. A lot better than what I remember Kings Island Racer being the last time I rode it, which was like unbearably rough. There's been some reprofiling on this ride from what I hear, but even then on the older sections of the ride, I didn't really find it that bad at all. Maybe it's because I've been on Intimidator 4 times already, I don't know, but at the same time, enjoyed it nonetheless. Probably gonna end up being, maybe after a re-ride later, one of my top 10 Woodies, which is very weird to think. But yeah, definitely worth it. Unfortunately not racing today. There is an off-shot chance maybe that Anaconda will end up being open later maybe, because Racer has open. I don't know how it works here at this park, but it's still not that busy. Everything still is relatively a walk-on. So being that considered, who knows if it's just because it's under maintenance. I still hope to get on it. Here's hoping. But anyway, we're almost done all the credits here already, so I've got one big one to do right behind me, which is Wicked Twister to get on, and also the Wild Mouse that has another clone version of it back in my home park as well. There is also a Grizzly in the corner, so I think I'm going to actually go to Grizzly first, if I know where I'm going, and then I'm going to come back here to Wicked Twister. Twisted Timbers. Alright, well, it's time for the Grizzly. Some say this is a rough ride, some say this is a remarkably smooth and great coaster. It's the same coaster as Wild Beast back at my home park in Canada's Wonderland, which is notoriously one of the worst wood coasters, but I find pretty good. So we'll see how this works out. But it's a very familiar station building. Grizzly.
Hold on tight and enjoy your ride.
just got off of this monstrosity, and I don't know what people are talking about, because that was one of the roughest wood coaster rides I've ever had. And this is supposed to be a decent ride, as per some enthusiasts that I really respect. But I guess it's all just a matter of perspective, or personal perspective. But I could barely, you know, it's rare that I have to hold on to the actual restraints to just keep my positions because of how rough a ride is, because it's throwing me around so much. But yeah, that was crazy. I feel that the improvements that Wonderland have made over the years to Wild Beast have definitely made it the better version of the ride now, especially with the overbanked turns that they have on Wild Beast, as opposed to this being pretty much the original construction with not that many changes to it. So rough. I was in the back seat, the very back. So rough that I'd say I probably won't come back onto this ride later. I think I might give it a pass. If it were a night situation and I could get a night ride on it, I'd probably reconsider and do it. But I don't know. If the time isn't available, it's kind of in a weird section of the park in the back as well. You kind of have to commit yourself to getting here. Yeah, I'm gonna give a pass on the Grizzly later on. Oh well. Credit's done. The +1 is out of the way. Time to go back to the park. Alright, well, it's been a bit of time here since I've properly vlogged. Pardon if I go backwards. The sun is better this way, but Twisted Timbers just got off of 3 consecutive rides on that. I was really blown away by that ride. Let's just say, if you've ridden Hurler, it's a substantial improvement and a great idea for that ride, because it was a horrible wooden coaster with almost no purpose, especially with a coaster very similar to that already existent within this park. I don't like to lose wood coasters, but at the same time, that was a much better ride than ever Hurler could have ever offered. In fact, that's one of the better RMCs I've been on. Boy, it just does not give up, eh? It's so much, sounding Canadian there, eh? There's so much airtime on that ride. You honestly think it's over halfway through, and it just keeps throwing you through another turnaround or another circuit of just manic airtime hills. Those 3 consecutive ones right after the first turnaround were probably the highlight as far as airtime was concerned, and probably the highlight of the ride for me. I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I definitely would think it's one of my favorite RMCs. I had to re-ride it just to think whether or not I liked it better than Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags New England. And again, forgive me if that's not the correct name for that ride. Whew, out of breath, that was quite crazy. You do have to use lockers for that ride and Intimidator on the other side of the park as well. So I would suggest, if you are into it, getting the 3-hour locker rental, which you can interchange in between the two rides anyway. Also, just the overall feel of this park, I'd say it's 4 hours, I won't lie to you. If I had spent my time actually focusing on the coasters, I probably would have gotten those done in the first 3 hours that I was here. But as I'm here to enjoy myself, I'm actually going to go back to the other side of the park now, take a break, eat, and do all my favorite rides all over again, plus the flats that I didn't actually do the first pass around. So more than enough time to get everything in today. The only coaster that I haven't done is one of the kid coasters that you can't get on, and also the Wild Mouse ride that I was just next to it and I totally forgot the name of it. But we'll be back over there later to try it out, as I'm never an expert on names. I'm getting old, I guess, and feeble in my mind, and that makes me forgetful of those things. But thank you for joining me anyway. So I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go back to the main plaza now. Hopefully maybe get a water ride or two in if they're actually functioning. And then we'll carry on with our day. Maybe Anaconda's open. I certainly hope so. All right, let's carry on. It's like a science fair slash like battle of the bands, school bands, choir contest going on. This park is a bit overrun by kids, school groups, but it hasn't really reflected in the wait times, which is nice, as they've all got stuff to do, i.e. as you'll see just behind me, this guy carrying his instrument. So I hear that they're all leaving around 3 o'clock, which means that will probably really open up the park later on. Alright, so time to cover the food. I definitely recommend the meal plan if you have a pass. Even though I have a platinum pass for Cedar Fair, free parking here. Not at Cedar Point for some reason, which is still debatable why that is. But yeah, free parking here, free parking at Carowinds, free entry to the park, but not a meal plan member. So this cost me 27 plus change American. I shudder to think what that's going to cost Canadian, but it's pretty expletive expensive. I'll say that much. Especially because I got an extra side for $4.95 to give my rice here a little bit of an extra kick. I needed something healthy. Not every food place is open today, including the pizza parlor across the way. But you do have a great view here, and I'm trying to do something a little bit healthy. The food here that comes from the Market Grill just behind me here, it's called the Grill and Grain, actually. It's all locally sourced, or as much as they can, so hopefully it'll be pretty tasty. I'll give you a review of that in a moment. so that's done. I mashed at it very fast. I ate like a bird. It's unusual because there's no birds around here, which is kind of unusual. I don't know, maybe the research triangle has some sort of magic way of preventing birds from scavenging this park, but yeah, there just doesn't seem to be any around. The food was good. Veggies a little overcooked. Rice, nothing special really to report there, but the chicken was very tasty, so I'll definitely give them credit for that. And yeah, I feel like actually refreshed instead of groggy and bogged down by, say, what could have been, you know, a very, you know, unhealthy, cheese-laden burrito place that's over there that I contemplated. I'm glad I made the decision that I did, even if it was a bit more expensive to enjoy. You know, it's a better part of like 40 Canadian that's going to cost, which is about as much as a mid-scale dining experience at my hometown. And people say that that's expensive, as some people from Oklahoma that I just met in my establishment said that it was pretty expensive in Toronto. So I don't know, we're not that far from Oklahoma, although this is a theme park and you have to expect that. But considering that Disney was so cheap earlier in the season, yeah, this cost almost 3 times as much as a Disney meal. So yeah, all things considered, I still enjoyed it. All right, time to get back up and enjoy the second half of the day. I've got 3 hours left. I'm definitely gonna get some Intimidator rides in. Flight of Fear is still closed, I believe, as is Anaconda, which is regretful. I'm hoping maybe that when I go over there, they may be open again, but definitely gonna get a couple more Dominator rides in. And of course, Twisted Timbers, as that was fantastic, and I need to get a couple more on that. I didn't mention that I definitely enjoyed the front seat more than the back, but then the second ride that I had in the back was quite a crazy ride. So I'm gonna have to give a full judgment on what I think is the best seat on that ride, maybe later on in the video. All right, let's continue on. Alright, well, that is Racer 75 done for the day. 2 rides, that time not on a wheel seat, right in the middle. And I have to confess, despite that ride being older than myself, I think I have a new within my top 10 wood coasters, because that was another excellent ride. on that particular classic racing coaster. I look forward to coming back and trying the south. I believe maybe it's the north track. They're called north and south tracks here. But great, solid ride. Definitely impressed. Way better than the Kings Island version, as I already mentioned. Worrying thing now is that I'm headed back to the other side of the park, and I'm going to do the gyro drop first. But before I do that, I have to mention that I haven't seen Intimidator running for quite some time, so that's quite worrying because it may be done for the day. I hope not, because I was hoping to get a couple more rides on it before the day is done. Stay tuned for that.
Technology requires a little bit more care and maintenance. We have a vast array of tools that we can use for maintenance on these rides, but the two that come to mind the most is our rising gears. We're checking connection points, making sure that there's no fatigues on the oils, going through each pod or car. When we start up the ride, we're making sure that we don't hear any abnormal sounds.
On our games that use chains, it helps make sure that any corrosion is gone and the chain moves as it should, given that it's still in good working condition.
And you'll inspect the engine pins, individual screws, make sure everything's in proper shape.
Despite only being 217 feet, that drop tower was quite intense. Great force on the force down. Yeah, also not mentioned yet, but I really dig the ride ops in this park. They have a good sense of humor. They're not like the best in the world by any. You know what? They're actually probably getting into the top 5, top 10 as far as parks that I've been to. As far as Cedar Fair parks are concerned, among the best. Great sense of humor, very jovial, really kind of like personalize every ride that people take by like having a different sort of joke to say to each actual trip that people go out and dispatch on. Yeah, I'm a big fan. So we're gonna go and do 2 flat rides before I find out what's going on in Intimidator. There is still people in the station, but it hasn't run forever. We got Delirium to do here, plus this old-fashioned Troika, which is pretty busy, oddly enough, for an old ride. So we're gonna go on Delirium first, and then I will join you after these 2 flats for the conclusion of our day on the big rides. Okay, just got off of the Troika, known as Bad Apple, behind me. Solid ride. I noticed that there is a lot of appreciation for these classic rides here, as the feedback that I've been overhearing from general park goers here in the park has been that certain rides have been better than they expected, which is always great to hear. Now, there's some bad news and exciting news that's coming up now. The bad news is that Intimidator seems to still not be running and operating. I have not seen a car go around the circuit, and I've been watching from various perspectives on the 2 rides that I just took. Delirium as well. It's in Mondialed. It was a very solid but standard affair. Very short circuit on it. In fact, Bad Apple's circuit was much longer than Delirium's was. So it is what it is. It's a newer ride with a fairly mediocre output. or through fare. There was gum on my seat though, so I did point that out. Unfortunately, that got sorted before I sat, or we just moved seats over, but anyway, it happens.
Okay, guys, it's your turn.
As much as I'd like to stay and watch the singing mushrooms there, very trippy, I got the good news. Good news is that Anaconda is now running, so I'm gonna go get that, hopefully get that credit, and give you my review of the ride, as it's just around the corner here. Maybe Intimidator will be back up before it's too late. There's about a little over an hour left in the park. If not, I'm going to do Dominator and then get back over to Twisted Timbers for a couple more rides before the park closes. If the park closes at 5 today, I don't even know. It seems to be very up in the air as far as the hours are concerned. They may stay open later because of the time. Yes, Anaconda is up and running. Yeah, with all these school kids around, it's very hard to navigate the paths, but I will say, unlike, again, my home park, which I always sort of, as I said a million times, I browbeat, there's been very little to no vlog bombs. Some people have been catching my eye, but compared to what I deal with at home, much better. All right, Anaconda.
If you are not ready to stop, please exit back. Gates are now closing.
very happy to have Anaconda done. My perspective is off here on the camera. So happy to knock Anaconda off of my list and have that as some of the rides that I got to enjoy today, because that's pretty much everything. It was looking pretty sketchy at the beginning of the day that I get that in, but I did. You'll notice I'm not going back for a re-ride. Just before the corkscrew or in that bow tie element, you gotta watch your neck on those restraints, because it definitely it's gonna give me a little whiplash I'm gonna enjoy probably next week. So I think I'll pass on a re-ride of it unless time permits. Unfortunately, Intimidator is still out, and it looks like it won't be coming back because the entire crew has been now shifted to other rides in the park. So not very good prospects for that today. I've learned this lesson before, and I'm glad that I got those 4 rides in earlier, because you never know what will happen to a chief attraction if you don't get it in while it's running. Looking at you, Steel Dragon 2000. Boy, I can still not really say much. My mouth is salivating. I wish I had a beer. Second ride on Reptilian in the back. I have to say it was a much better ride in the back as well. Way more out of control in that final 2 helixes. Especially there's like a pop of airtime before you hit the second one. It just felt quite out of control. We're back in the tunnel again. I gotta redo my Anaconda review because I just couldn't put my words together there. It was quite intense. It was a neck snapping moment just before the corkscrews in the bow tie element that really, as per that design when it even came out, I was very confused why they even included that. The fact that it's over the lake and everything is very unique. I was surprised that the tunnel actually doesn't go underwater. I always thought it actually went underwater, unless they modified that over the years. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But it was exactly what I would have expected from an aerodynamics coaster, at least of this age. And Vortex being gone now, it's kind of taking the mantle of those custom aerodynamics loopers that still exist. That being said, it is an aero coaster. You know what to expect. There really are no surprises when it comes to those models anymore. But I'm glad it's still around. I may go for another ride on it, depending on how busy it is. I think I'm gonna check it out on the way back from Dominator. So I'm gonna hit Dominator first, and when I weave my way back through the park itself towards Twisted Timbers at the end of the day. I'm not gonna go on Tumbili again, because pretty standard ride that I can get almost at any park, maybe even my own home park soon enough. And that'll be my day here at King's Dominion, unless there's an extension on the festivities here. Who knows, with the hours being what they are in these Virginian parks. What it takes, Berserker. I just got off Berserker, and it's nice to go on one of those looping starships again, maybe for nostalgia's sake. Oh dear, I went the wrong way. Anyway, I'm on my way now to Anaconda to see, classically going, maybe I can sneak through here. Looks like some people are. Trying to go snake past to get to that snake known as Anaconda for yet another ride. And then after that, I will go over to Twisted Timbers, depending on how long the wait is. Maybe I won't go on Anaconda. I definitely want to end the day at Twisted Timbers anyway, so stay tuned. Yeah, it was a really good looping starship. The sensation of actually, hey guys.
Can I say hey?
Say hey, real quick. I gotta wait. Hey guys, first drop. Give us a follow. Oh, look at this guy. So we ain't got no live dance here, but then we got that guy. So there you go. A little live dance action in the park. Yeah, so going to Anaconda, depending on the weight, we'll finish up the day over at Twisted Timbers. Whew, the only reason I'm really going back is, again, because I said before, I'm worried it might not be here the next time I come to this park. So, let's get there. Intimidator will definitely be here, or will it? These Intamin rides are starting to go down as well with the Top Thrill Dragster situation. You never quite know what's up. Live entertainment here at Kingsdominion. Who would have thought? Another thing, while it's on my mind, I do admire this jungle expedition section of the park that I'm walking through, mainly because it might bode well for, say, something at Wonderland, where, as I said before, I love the theming and sort of focus on, really the park is kind of half theming on this side, and the other half is more of a classical midway hodgepodge mix-up of a bunch of different ideas. But it still feels good and feels like a proper theme park. Unlike how I said Wonderland is transformed into this commercialized place where you can just play Ariana Grande tunes and sell us, you know, various colorful drinks and funnel cakes and souvenirs associated with that. 2 rides on Anaconda in the back both times. I could have got on the front, but the back was a walk-on. I just made it in time for that train, just like I made it in time for Berserker. So yeah, I'm gonna be happy with that because I probably will have at least one trip around on Twisted Timbers before the day is through. The park is essentially empty, so you can see I have my usual runaround at the end of the park day to get to the other side in time for my final ride. I'm hoping for 2. I'll be satisfied with 1. I'll be satisfied just to make it there at this point, because I always like to play it right to the bitter end. And always, too, kind of forget where I'm going, but this park has kind of got a lot of shortcuts through it. As you can see, all the school kids have now left, so there's barely anyone here. That being said, it's always hard to get around, folks. A lot of people, even that are just here for the day, have left. Lots of seasons pass holders. The official park slogan is Ride On, as I should mention. So I don't really mind that. It's probably been taken before. But ride on we shall. One more time. Ferris wheels running. There definitely is some alternating ride ops on these Fridays. I think that they're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday in this April month at Kingsdominion. I was surprised that they were open on Friday, but now being here I know why. It's because of the amount of school groups and special presentations that they've had for them. Despite most people not really being into that kind of scene, I will say that it hasn't been really that bad. It's been actually quite good. Plenty of space, plenty of respectful kids. They actually say sorry or excuse or my bad, etc. There's another saying that they use here. that's my fault, something like that, when they bump into you, but something that's just not customary with home. So very refreshing here. And yeah, I've only had like one sort of vlog presentation outside of me here, as you saw earlier with the guy dancing. So yeah, good times. Anyhow, we're gonna make it. Whew. It's getting hot here. It's almost 20 degrees Celsius, that is. So yeah, maybe I'll get 2 rides in if I quickly loop around. I'll certainly try. Ending the day here at Twisted Timbers and an empty King's Dominion. Does my hair look any different? That was 3 consecutive rides on Twisted Timbers to end the day. If I'm all smiles, it's probably because of that. Wow, what a great ride. 2 consecutive front seat rides, and then 1 in the back. And they just, because the train that I was on for the second run was a Zen run, as it's called. Thank you for the op for reminding me of what that term is, because it was just me in the front seat. And then they thought that that was going to be the last train for the day, but unfortunately for them, there was 2 other people that were hidden in the queue that came up to take the train that I was on. The guy, I had already left, and he's like, "Do you want to ride the back?" And I was like, "Of course I do." So yeah, amazing operations here at King's Dominion. Canada's Wonderland. I just don't know what's happening. You're in the chain, and you're just not picking up the pace with the rest of the parks that are within it. Maybe it's a bit of that southern hospitality. We're not technically in the south, but we're close enough. I do talk a lot about how much I like these parks that we get closer to that area, because the hospitality is just second to none. And yeah, what an amazing day. It's going to be hard to really say this, but it's potentially, or it is possible, in my perspective, that Twisted Timbers is better than Intimidator. From an overall thrill standpoint, it really is the complete package. It's got a little bit of everything, ridiculous amount of airtime, an awesome stall, 2 really like unbeatable heartline rolls, speed throughout. It just does not give up. It's really just like a mini Steel Vengeance, really. It's been a while since I've been on Steel Vengeance, so it's hard for me to thoroughly recall what that experience is even like in comparison to this ride, but it's definitely one of the standouts, if not the standout in this park, and something Canada's Wonderland could definitely use. Although I've heard that we'll be getting a bespoke RMC one day, if it ever happens, as is the rumors / what the park themselves have even said. Either way, what a fantastic day. It's only been 8 hours here. 8 hours? It's been 9 hours actually, but it's all done. So enjoy some empty views of King's Dominion on the way out here. Despite my earlier earlier having said that I regretted coming here on the day that I did because Busch Gardens Williamsburg was open, I am glad I came here today because I did get everything, and I don't know when I'll actually be back because of that. I certainly would love to check out their Halloween event here, as with it being as close as it is to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Maybe that will be something that I will do in the future. Definitely want to get a night ride on Intimidator anyway at some point in the future, and that might be the opportunity to do so. Because the school groups kind of balanced everything out really perfectly, I really am happy with the fact that the day worked out the way it has. I'm really hoping that that does not jinx me tomorrow for Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but who knows. We do have a ton of time there tomorrow. The park is open from 10 till 9, So it's going to be quite a marathon day. So definitely check out that vlog, as that's coming up next on the channel. But other than that, enjoy some shots on the way out here. Bit of madness trying to get that final shot out of the park, but we managed it, and I feel like I didn't fully sum up, or I think it got cut off. But anyway, we're here where we started, back at Dominator, and a fantastic day here at Kingsdominion. And yeah, what can I say? And yeah, as I seem to say a lot. But other than that, it was a bucket list park that finally fulfilled on what it promised. Will I come back anytime soon? I'm not really sure. Maybe for a Halloween haunt event, that would be the perfect time to do Intimidator at night and other things like maybe the North Coaster of Racer. But not much left to do here. I have a feeling there's something big coming to this park yet, and it definitely is one of the jewels in the Cedar Fair crown. So if you have not done it and waited almost 30 years like myself, don't waste around anymore. Get yourself down here. Spend the 9 or 8 hours on a slower day and get everything in and all those re-rides and enjoy Kingsdominion.